Hello, I'm Lucy from Port Macquarie Library, and today I'll be showing you how to make this macrame plant hanger. Here's what you'll need: scissors, tape measure, string or macrame cord, and a pot plant in a little jar. So first of all, I'm going to measure out my macrame cord. So this one I'm doing is 2 meters total, and I need 4 lengths of this. So here they are. I've prepared them earlier, 4 equal lengths of 2 meters, and I've folded them exactly in half. Now I'm going to tie a knot, my first knot in the top there. It's going to be maybe 3 inches down from the top, and it's all 4 cords tied together in one big knot. I'm going to try and even out the knot and make it look a bit pretty. Next, I'm going to splay out my cords, separate them all out on the page there, and just check that they're all even so I can see what's going on. Now I'm going to make my first knot in this section, so I'm tying the end 2 cords together, maybe about 5 or 6 inches down from my big knot. Now these are just a simple knot. I've got 2 of the strings tied together, nice and easy. I wrap it around my finger and pull it through the loop. So I'll go all the way along here, making 4 even knots. Each time I make a little knot, you'll see I'll measure it up against its neighbour to try and get them all even as possible. To make it easier, I've actually taped the top of my macrame piece to the desk here. That stops it sliding around so much. So now we're on to our second row of knots. It's going to be exactly the same as before, but we're going to be joining the 2 strings between each knot, so it makes a little net formation. This time I'm maybe going 1 to 2 inches down from the knot above. This will depend on the size of the jar that you're using. If you're using a very small jar, it might be better to do the knots closer together. Once I've done these 3 across the middle, you can see how that's going. We're going to take the 2 outside cords and tie them in the middle. This is where it starts to make a kind of 3D net that will go around your jar, but it gets a bit trickier to see where you're at because you can't lay it flat anymore. Once I've straightened out my bottom cords there, I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to take 1 cord from each knot. I'm going to loop it round and put a little knot in there and do a 3rd row. Because it's not laying flat anymore, it can be a bit tricky to follow, but I suggest just starting in the middle and going round in one direction until you've reached the beginning. This row is again about 1 to 2 inches below the row above it, and again that will depend on the size of your jar. So you should come to the last one. You'll only have 2 left to tie together, and that's the last knot in our little net formation in the middle. You can see how it's going to take shape now. So what I do to finish it off, we're going to do another big knot, a bit like we did at the beginning, where we get all the cords through and just do a loop on itself. And you want to leave the cords dangling down at the bottom there to make a nice tassel. Now what you can see I'm doing here is I'm just taking the scissors and just neatening up the tassel, because in the course of doing the macrame you might get some frayed ends. And there we are, all finished. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for Craft with Lucy.